The views and opinions expressed on this program do not reflect the company, owners, management, staff, clients, or partners.
It's Tuesday, the 4th day of January, 2022. Welcome to the first episode of the Daily Hour of the calendar year, brought to you by Medical House One Communications and Lindos. I'm Jamel Hartman. She's Sherry Vanderpool, and Leanna Lambert will be with us in a bit to bring you the latest in her news break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Sherry?
Good morning.
This is the first time you've seen me. All 2022, you happy?
Sure.
Oh, see, I know Leanna would have been like, yes, man, of course I'm excited. I missed you too, right?
No, she wouldn't have done that
Yeah,
at
she's
all.
a hater and she's ready to, yeah. But, how'd you bring in the new year?
Quietly, semi-quietly, I would say, with friends and family and just had a good time. You know, older now, so you stay in the house, you have some drinking games and karaoke and all of that good stuff. So,
she mentioned older, folks. She mentioned older, not me.
You did the same thing.
Look, I don't know why people take bets on me every year, like, oh, he's going to be sleep. I thought me and my daddy were boys, right? And he was doing that too. And so, I'm always asleep until someone decides they're going to wake me up for a New Year's kiss or hug or something, whatever. But I apparently missed the antics with is his name Don Lemon? Those people must have been drunk and crazy or whatnot. I missed their antics and so on.
I did too. We had our own, so I wasn't even concerned about that. But I was struggling about 11 o'clock, and I'm like, okay, now come on.
You know what? Next year we should have our own Daily Hour countdown band since you are.
Yeah, and what you're just gonna be up in your bed pushing buttons?
Really? Is this what we're doing? You know what? It's 2022 and some things haven't changed, folks. Happy New Year to you, David Michael Wilson, Mariel Santucci, Traveling Trotty out there, Carlita Davis, Sean Smith, Renee Simmons. It is a pleasure to have you back with us, and good morning and happy 22 to everyone. Thanks for making us part of your daily routine. A good one to begin 2022. As the Minister of Transport, the Honorable Lawrence Scott, stops by to discuss road safety. For those of you who don't know, we experienced 17 road fatalities in Bermuda last year. This is the highest since we hit that same number in 2008. We have a problem, and we're going to start the year by trying to address that problem with some solutions that may be more on us than they are the government. The Daily Play is a Remember When today, so...
Oh, Lord.
Yeah, it's a bit of history. It's a bit of history today, and we know how Sherry and history are. They go hand in hand, don't they?
I've got one glass of Alka-Seltzer and one cup of coffee, so hopefully something will...
I don't know. I take offense.
Why?
I take offense.
I should be offended.
Yeah, whatever. So look, folks, I'll tell you this much, right? So what obviously a new year means a lot of change, right? A lot of things changing, a lot of things, well, at least calendar year, a lot of people want to make changes, right?
Yes.
So what we're going to start today off with before we bring the minister on is, we've seen what happened in Bermuda last year. I don't know what you feel stood out. We discussed some great things with Flora Duffy, bringing her Bermuda's first gold, and she was recently honored. She's now Dame Flora Duffy.
I saw that.
And congratulations to her. But the question that we're going to start the year off with is, what can Bermuda and Bermudians do better in 2022? That's your question we're starting the year off with. What can Bermuda and Bermudians do better in 2022? Oh, that's a sigh. What's that about, Sherry?
It's not a bad side. It's just, can we just be consistent? Can we really come together as a community? We often talk about, that we are a community and that we stick together and we do things. But when, things hit the ceiling or hit the floor or any of those things, we all of a sudden don't know what to do, or we're quiet and we don't want to help, or we don't want to tune in. So for me, I'm talking about more so the violence in Bermuda and things of that nature, right? As a community, we need to come together to do better in stopping this violence and being able to speak about it. If we see something, do something so that we can minimize this from continuing. Throughout the year or years. We have a lot of young Black males, let's just put it out there. And we need to do better with that. I just think we just need to do better as a community.
Yeah, I don't disagree with you. I think overall we can do better in so many different aspects. When I think of 2022, just looking forward, just the conversation today we're having with the Minister of Transport, what can we do better? We can be more responsible on the roads. You mentioned Black males. When you look at who's, it's easy to look at violence and say those being gunned down or committing the crimes of Black males. But look at the roads, the percentages are still high for Black males, right? So
Yeah.
there are many things in just those areas that we can do better. From a political stance, I think the people of Bermuda must do better to hold the government accountable.
Mm-hmm. Agreed.
We must collectively do better to hold the government accountable. We're coming up on a year, January 6th, when what happened on Capitol Hill in the United States happened, right? Almost a year already. And I feel like if Bermuda's not careful, they'll have their own version of that. And, there are people that say, oh, well, Bermuda had its version December 2nd, 2016, I think it was, right?
Mm-hmm.
I think it's time to hold those in power accountable and responsible for their actions. We can have conversations, but things can't continue in the manner that they are. That said, it's not just them. We're having a conversation with the Minister of Transport in a bit, but a lot of what's happening on our roads can't be legislated.
Right.
There's self-accountability. Like there are things that, if we're honest, we can probably say without any survey or data that most accidents are caused by speed and alcohol, right? If that's the case, then no policy, it's the law already that you shouldn't be going over a certain speed, or you shouldn't be under the influence and operating a vehicle. The legislation and policy is there. So what can you or we do better to make sure that Bermuda is a better space for all of us? Let's go to the comments. Angeline Butler's here.
Better customer service, think before speaking, checking our moral compass more, basically paying attention to small things, really. Yes.
Sheila Godwin says empathy for others and not just thinking of ourselves. And the question, folks, what can Bermuda and Bermudians do better in 2022? Traveling Trotty and David Michael R. Wilson for you, Sherry.
We need to hold everyone accountable. And we need to stop being a community that reports first to social media, listen before getting the facts, and even with all the facts, allowing things to run their course. I agree with you, David.
Well, we're not going to go into it because we only have one side, but Marge's list is only, what are we? The 4th of January, only 4 days into the new year, and there's something that happened with a police officer and someone being left on the side. Now, the reason that we're not talking about that today is because I'm not saying that the person who's sharing the story is not telling the truth, but there's only
Correct.
one side, right?
Yeah.
No, there are times when we're going to have to speak about one side and the other can come with their side of the story. But I'm just like, no, let's give them a chance to respond. It hasn't even been 12 hours probably, right? But I say that because I think David Michael R. Wilson makes a great point. We have to stop wanting to be first. We have to stop wanting to run to social media for likes and popularity and all that stuff.
Yeah, definitely. And I feel like sometimes it's a conversation of nothing, if that
Mhm.
makes any sense. When you talk about
Mhm.
likes and followers and just people commenting
Yeah.
and just not even thinking of like, well, maybe let's look at the other side, or anything. And we talked about it here on the show. We find things that are aligned with what our beliefs are, right?
Correct.
So with that being said, we don't tend to want to look at the other and not necessarily agree with it, but
Mhm.
take it and say, okay, I can see where that person may be coming from,
Yeah.
rather than anything else. But yeah, well, for us to run to social media is crazy that that's what people do.
I want to go back to Traveling Trotties, where she said we need to hold everyone accountable because I had spoken about holding our government officials accountable, but I don't want people miss the second part of what I said, which was we need to hold each and every one of us accountable. That means our parents, our best friends, right? Our employers, our employees,
And
our
I have
colleagues.
a second part to that, the Jamal, or a question. Sometimes we don't know what that looks like. So what does that look like? What does holding accountability, even for the government, what does that look like?
That is easy for me to answer.
Oh, okay.
Well, for instance, Sherry holds me accountable when I go off the rails on this show. She says she may wait a day sometimes. Jamal, you probably shouldn't have said that to that. Da, 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 whatnot. Holding people accountable is really about calling them out and making sure they understand their errors. Making sure that, if a politician comes to on your doorstep for an election, make sure you're on their doorstep when they're not serving what you believe they should be there to be doing. If
Right,
for me, for instance, again, folks, any politician who's ever been on my doorstep, trust and believe I have their contact information. It's up
right,
to them whether they want to respond to me or not. And if they don't, then there's going to be consequences. And I mean consequences, possibly not vote for them, possibly
mm-hmm,
go to the media or social media. Have conversations with others. But
correct.
we must hold everyone accountable. And I want to echo that, Nachika. James Burt says Bermuda can do better at instilling love and respect for life in each other and for each other. That's huge.
It is. And I feel like we are, people don't understand, and maybe because it's the area that I am in, generational trauma is real. And we have families that have grown up one way and have passed it on from generation to generation to where we are now, and that this generation has put a new spin on that trauma.
Mm-hmm.
It's no longer being so much hidden,
Mm-hmm.
as it would have been back in the day. But
Mm-hmm.
now it's coming out in such a way that is so painful and so
Mm-hmm.
violent. And we have not learned how to break that generational
Uh,
trauma cycle. You
mm.
know, it maybe
Well,
started with us.
and that's a good point. So my question to you, Sherry, because this is not my area of expertise. When you think of what can Bermuda and Bermudians do better in 2022, based on the conversations we had last year, trauma seems to be impacting our community in so many respects, right? There's race, there's politics, there's abuse,
Yes.
right? There's sexuality, right? There's economics, right? What are some of the steps that we can take to address the trauma that actually helps Bermuda going forward?
Well, first of all, is aligning yourself with somebody that you can see is stable within their life, right?
Mhm.
Getting out of what is comfortable. A lot of times we are comfortable in the space that we're in. We're comfortable with what we're doing. We're comfortable. And it's for educators, it's for older persons that are settled in their lives, to interject into that trauma and to help those behind them or around them to come forward. Counseling, therapy, and everything is for everybody. It's not just for an elite group of people. It's not just for when you get in trouble. Therapy and counseling is for now.
Can I
And
say
if
something? Can
sure,
I have to say that, and this may offend some people. It's 2022, but I'm still me. I'm still me.
dang it.
But here's the challenge. Here's the challenge. And hear me, audience. Hear me very clearly when I say this. A few years ago, people were running to become coaches, right?
Mm,
Right? Everyone was a coach, life coach. And it seemed like it was almost like the pyramid schemes, like people were just looking for a way to make money. Now I feel like there are people who may go to therapy just to say they go to therapy to make excuses for their behavior.
got you.
And
Hmm.
if you're going to therapy, I'm not quite sure you should be out there using that therapy as a way to validate how you are and
Hmm.
act as if everyone else is the problem. Therapy is should be, or at least from my understanding, we spoke about accountability. What can Bermuda and Bermudians do better in 2022? Therapy should be about you looking within.
Yeah.
It should be about how you can be more accountable for your actions, not about what others do or say or controlling others. So my concern with therapy, Sherry, and again, this is your space, not mine. My concern
Hmm.
with therapy is that so many people are now going to therapy, but still, for me, you see them using therapy as an excuse to remain who they are. Like, oh,
Right.
I'm not the problem. They are.
Right, and not doing the work. And
Correct.
that's what basically what you're talking about. You're in there being you're not doing the work. And so then that lies with finding the right therapist and the right
Bingo.
counselor that will hold you accountable for the BS
Mhm, mhm,
that you are either putting yourself in
mhm,
or that you are still spewing. A lot of times when you do counseling therapy, most people should kind of recluse, should go within and be
mhm,
quiet and be silent so
mhm,
that you can go ahead and work on those
mhm.
things without so many other distractions that can
Indeed.
possibly do. But no, you're right. Some people use that as an excuse. And then that's a whole nother personality
Indeed. And folks, like for instance, like we all deal with stuff, and therapy is not a bad thing. It's really not.
no.
I am forever grateful to my mother for seeking therapy for me when I was extremely young, based on the advice from the Honorable former Premier Dr. Ewart Brown. Like,
Hmm.
therapy is there, but it takes two sides. There has to be willing participants. Therapy, you cannot use therapy as an excuse to remain who you are if that's what you're going to therapy for, to kind of become better. Let's go to the
Right.
comments. What can Bermuda and Bermudians do better in 2022? Jody Virgil says, Happy New Year, all. I think it's important to get clear about what we truly value and be courageous enough to have difficult conversations that will help each other to grow. I like that one.
Yeah.
Renee Simmons says, promote unity, accountability, and responsibility. Bermuda is becoming or has become immoral. Just read of a mother and her 3-month-old child on the side of the road at night while her car was taken. I look forward to hearing the other side. Again, not saying that she's not telling the truth, but I would love
Right.
to hear what the Bermuda Police Service has to say about this. If it did happen
Hmm.
the way it's being explained, what will happen to the officers involved? But again, these are problems that, as we look to 2022 and beyond, these are not things we need, especially when the police service and the community need one another. Notice I didn't say the police need us and we need them. We need one another. All right.
Absolutely.
Michelle, wait for you, Sherry.
In 2022, we should increase our personal accountability before we can make others accountable. As I type this, Jamal is saying the same thing.
Indeed, Michelle. Like, indeed. We're going to bring Leanna into the conversation. A very important conversation with the Honorable Minister Lawrence Scott, Minister of Transport, coming up. Obviously, very sad news. I was actually in the hospital for Christmas Day with my mom, and I heard the ambulance leaving, and I said, "Oh no! Please tell me not." And it happened, and it was another road fatality. 2021, the highest amount of road fatalities we've had since 2008. Prior to that, 1998 and 1983, the number 17. We're going to be discussing with the minister what the government's doing on their end, and then, folks, what we need to do on our side. How do we hold each other accountable on our roads? I was in Bermuda. I overtook once, and this couple was just going like 15 kilometers on Harbor Road. I probably annoyed a lot of people, but I'm not interested in inconveniencing others because I have somewhere to go. So we need to be more considerate on the roads. Do not forget, after Leanna's done with the news, folks, we will be sharing with you how you can be eligible to win $500 cash. What I will say is that you will need to watch this show or tune in every day. Some programming announcements. You probably will notice that the show is only live right now on our Facebook page, on our YouTube page, and Twitch. We've also started a LinkedIn page. So go, if you're on LinkedIn, we notice a lot of our audience is on LinkedIn. Please go on LinkedIn and follow the Daily Hour. We have a specifically dedicated LinkedIn page for the Daily Hour now. We probably won't be going live there anytime soon, but we'll be, sharing a lot of updates. If you haven't already, make sure you subscribe on thedailyhour.com. Like I said, to be eligible to win any of our prizes, that's what you will need to do. And I'm just going to tell you, we have a lot of people working with us to give you a lot of things that you're going to enjoy. Get involved. Get involved.
I subscribed.
Leanna, she said she subscribed. What you think, Lee? Good morning. Happy 2022.
Good morning, everyone, and happy 2022 to you as well. I am feeling refreshed, rejuvenated. I feel rested and ready for this new year.
Wow.
And Lee, just go back earlier because I said that, unlike Sherry, you would have missed me in these couple days. You haven't been able to, see your big brother and so on. So go ahead, just tell the audience. Go ahead.
I'm good.
Yeah. Good. Yeah. That I like that, Lee.
I've been good.
Yeah. It was the whole face and everything for me. She was just like,
Yeah, we've been good.
good.
Well, on that note, so Lee, what do you think Bermuda and Bermudians can do better in 2022? Hater?
I think you guys hit the nail on the head in speaking about accountability. I think that is one of the major issues that's affecting a lot of people, not just here on the island, but around the world, is being able to take responsibility. Because I just actually had this conversation the other day with a friend of mine, and I basically said, everyone has choices in life. We get choices, and we're able to make those choices, from what you want to eat to where you want to, how you want to style your hair. And obviously when you get behind a wheel or a vehicle of a vehicle, or the wheel of a vehicle, sorry, you make a choice. That is your choice. So the way in which you drive or ride, or how you choose to go about your daily actions, you have a choice every day.
I like the way you think because I've been saying it for years. When I was young, I always said I don't blame drugs or alcohol because every last one of us most likely had a choice before we took it. Unless you're being abused and forced into it, we kind of all had a choice. So I actually agree with that line of thinking, Lee.
Conscious decisions.
Absolutely. Ready for the first news break of the year?
I am ready. And we're starting off on a positive note today. So let's get going.
Over to you, sister.
Thanks, Jamal and Sherry, and good morning to everyone that's tuned in with us today. I hope you all are having a great start to this Tuesday morning. I'm Leanna Lambert, and it's time for the Daily Hour News Break, brought to you by People's Pharmacy. So here's what's going on in today's top stories. Bermuda has welcomed the first baby of 2022 with a baby girl making her grand debut into the world on Sunday afternoon. Now, while not a New Year's Day baby, baby Zara was born at 4:12 p.m. on Sunday, January 2nd. She weighed in at 8 pounds and 14.6 ounces. We are sending a huge congratulations to the proud parents of baby Zara. In other news, a new antigen testing regime has been introduced at the LF Wade International Airport after many travelers were left scrambling to obtain last minute pre departure COVID 19 tests after failing to receive their results. Now, according to a health ministry spokesperson, test results are generally available within 1 day, but in the midst of this Omicron COVID outbreak, results will take longer due to the increase in positive cases. Government says, coupled with that, U.S. travelers must be tested relatively close to their travel date to meet the U.S. government's requirement for pre-departure tests to be completed no more than a day before travel. Now, this leaves little room for delay. The Ministry of Health noted it will continue to facilitate antigen testing at the airport for those who need it and urged anyone who needs to take such a test to arrive at the airport at least 4 hours prior to departure time. Meanwhile, a 24-year-old man is due to appear in court today, charged in connection with the murder of Osagie Bascom. Detective Chief Inspector Peter Stableford thanked those members of the public that have come forward to assist the police in their investigation. 23-year-old Mr. Bascom sadly died after an alleged stabbing incident earlier this month, or last month, outside the fun zone in St. David's. And as we've mentioned earlier in the show, the island's first Olympic gold medalist, Flora Duffy, has received yet another accolade for her accomplishments, this time coming in the form of being named a Dame, or as Dame Commander of the British Empire for her services to sport in Bermuda. Now, the news came in the New Year's honors following her recognition as being named by Triathlon Magazine Canada as the 2021 International Woman Triathlete of the Year. Flora said that she is honored and grateful for the latest recognition. In 2018, Flora received an OBE. She said, quote, "It never crossed my mind that I could perhaps be upgraded to a Dame. That's really special. I'm proud to have achieved something like this. It's not something I ever thought I would achieve or experience," end quote. Taking a look at today's weather, we have a high near 68 and a low near 61 degrees. Sunny periods with a chance of early showers drying by late morning. A few showers linger this morning in the wake of a departed cold front. Now, cooler and relatively stable weather will follow into midweek as brief high pressure passes to our north. Now, more unstable weather then develops later this week as another front approaches late Friday. That's all for the Daily Hour News Break brought to you by People's Pharmacy. Now let's head back to Jamal and Sherry in the studio for today's Daily Focus.
All right. Thanks so much for that, Lee. And Dame suits Flora Duffy. Dame definitely suits her.
Yeah,
I love
definitely.
it. Dame Flora. I wonder if they're going to refer to her as that when she's, winning her next gold medal in the Olympics. And here comes Dame Flora down. Just, I don't know. Do they do titles like that? I'm not quite sure.
You give Mr. Photogenic something to do.
I
I like that.
yeah,
Okay.
Sherry.
Dame Sherry, Dame Liana. That sounds good too. Sherry, what you got for us?
Today is January 4th, and it is National Spaghetti Day. Who doesn't love spaghetti, right? Can you do spaghetti, Jamal? You look like you're a deer caught in headlights.
That's the
But
thing you just boil, right?
it's one of the world's favorite dishes and one that is known across the world and to everyone. But what people don't know is that back in the day, and a little bit of history of it, it's the history of or reference to boiled noodles, right? And the Arabs actually were the first ones to bring it forth before it became something that the Italians definitely became
Really?
the
That is
holder of.
interesting.
Exactly. And if you didn't know, spaghetti means little lines.
Well, that's fitting.
That should be a
I
history
honestly
question.
learned something today.
I
Seriously.
did. I did. And you know what? Now I know what I'll be making for dinner tonight in celebration of National Spaghetti Day.
Spaghetti day. And most people do choose to make spaghetti because it's something very easy, something that is it's a childhood dinner. It's a childhood thing. It's something that, and everybody does it different. You have meat sauce, you have non-meat sauce, but the Italians really made it their own and have now a national spaghetti day.
Nice.
I love it.
Let's just say I won't be able to enjoy any spaghetti today. I'm fasting right now, but Liana, I need witnesses. Um, yeah, I need witnesses to not witnesses to show that you cooked it, but to
Mhm.
show that they tasted it and they are doing okay tomorrow. All right.
What are you?
Oh,
That's a shot back at you. You didn't miss me. That's my shot back, lady. Yep.
wow.
Yep.
I
That's
see
how we're
you.
beginning. Lee,
Okay, that's how we're beginning the new year. Okay.
it's all
All
love.
right, Lee.
You're still my
I,
favorite, Lee. You're still my favorite news girl. I
Oh,
said
I'm
news.
favorite. Okay,
Yeah.
that works. I'll take that.
Lee,
okay,
we'll
I
see you
see you,
tomorrow.
Janelle.
We'll
I
miss you.
see
Bye, guys.
you. Bye.
All right, folks. So we have some more news for you. All right. So let's just go through it. So if you subscribed or follow us on social media, you know that we're going to be doing a $500 cash giveaway this month. Here's how it works. You'll have to tune in every day to hear what letter is given at a different time each day. Use each letter to determine what the words make up, like what words make up the phrase. All right. Once you believe you've guessed correctly, you go onto our website, www.thedailyhour.com, and fill out the contact us form with your name, email, and answer where it says message. Please note, you must be a subscriber to our website to be eligible to win the $500 prize this month. All right. So this is
I'm
your chance to win
excited.
big, folks. Your chance to win big. We're a bit behind. We're going to take a quick break and we'll be back with the Honorable Minister Lawrence Scott.
Mom's celebrating her 70th birthday next month. Have you noticed her age is catching up with her?
Yeah. Plus, she's having a hard time getting up and around like she's used to. I would sure hate to see her fall.
At Medical House Limited, we can help make life situations easier. We have electric beds, motorized scooters, bath stools, walkers, you name it.
Mom's been real good to us. We'll get her birthday and Christmas gifts from Medical House.
Medical House has relocated next to the Dendy Town Field, number 6 Bakery Lane, Pembroke. Telephone 292-3622.
We're spotlighting a Bermudian company who produces staple foods and other essential products that are integral to our Bermudian way of life and are surprisingly affordable. Bermuda's Best products started out in the late 90s with Bermuda's Best Codfish, which definitely got your attention. Then came Bermuda's Best Mayonnaise, matching the heavy hitters in flavor and true to the Bermuda Best formula, low in price. Further diversification has ensued, resulting in the inception of Bermuda's Best Concentrated Laundry Detergent, a special feature this month. Lindo's, why go anyplace else?
All right, folks, welcome back to the big show. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamal Hartman. It's the Daily Hour brought to you by Medical House, One Communications, Lindo's, and our friends at People's Pharmacy. And your letter for today is the letter B as in boy. B as in boy. That's your letter. Without further ado, let's bring in the Honorable Minister, Lawrence Scott, to the show. Again, folks, just before we bring him on, it was a very tough year in regards to road fatalities, and we've got to get to the bottom of it. It's not on government, it's on all of us. Morning, Minister. Welcome to the show. How are you?
Good morning. Good morning. Thanks for having me.
No problem.
And Happy New Year.
Happy 2022 to you. Yes, for sure. But look, let's get right into it. Bermuda recorded its highest number of road deaths, as I mentioned, since 2008 and 2021. What worries you as the Minister of Transport? What worries you most about this?
Well, first, I want to just start off by saying that 17 is an unfortunate milestone, and that I have to, and I want to, send my condolences out to each and every one of the families that have lost someone over the past year, over 2021. But what I see happening is that road safety seems to be a very difficult conversation for us to have as a community, because what I would like to see is pretty much what you were talking about earlier on your show, is accountability. We need to, once again, look at what we do. I mean, I've grown up in Bermuda, born and raised in Bermuda. I know that when you go 16, you get your bike, you go 18, you get your car license, and it's a rite of passage. But we don't seem to make the conscious decisions not to ride under the influence, not to speed unnecessarily, or not to drive under the influence. And we have a culture of where we actually brag about how well we drive or how well we can operate a vehicle of some sort after 2, 3, 4, 5 unknown numbers of shots of alcohol. And it's a rite of passage. And that is something that we need to change. Right now, the thing is that the majority of road fatalities involve one of two things, or maybe a combination of speed and or alcohol. And that is something that we're trying to change here. We know that the latest or the largest demographic of road fatalities are those that are 30 to 40-year-old Black males. So we can't blame it on the youth, because these are individuals that have had their license for a good 20 odd years, 2 decades. So this is something that we have to really look at, and what the ministry is focused on is changing the culture of knowingly driving under the influence. And that's where we have our Operation Caution, which started in 2018, and out of Operation Caution came roadside sobriety checkpoints. And Operation Caution is going from 2018 to 2023.
Well, quick question on that, because I think I was going to ask, what policies or legislation do you believe will help solve this problem? And you've just stated it. But alcohol and speed, right? Alcohol and speed, as I mentioned earlier, seem to be the main causes of these accidents. How can we change the behavior, right? How can we get people, we speak about accountability, right? And Sherry put me on the spot earlier. She asked me, well, how do we hold people accountable? Well, how do we change the behavior and get people to be more accountable?
So changing behavior starts with conscious decision making. And conscious decision making comes from knowing or the knowledge that there is a consequence for making any one decision. Not going to say the wrong decision, but making any one decision. So if Lawrence Scott is in a bar and has 2 or 3 drinks and knows that, hey, there are no police out, there's no sobriety checkpoint, there is a slim to none chance that I'm going to actually pass a police officer or law enforcement officer on my way home, I'm going to take that chance of riding home or driving home under the influence. But if Lawrence Scott is in that same situation and knows that, hey, this is a roadside sobriety checkpoint out today, I am going to designate a driver beforehand. I'm going to look to get a taxi. I'm going to find another way home, or I'm not going to drink at all. And so that's where we have to, what we're focused on now, and the ministry is focused on changing the culture. As I said, roadside sobriety checkpoints came out of Operation Caution, and the main purpose is not to penalize the public, but to get them to be proactive and make conscious decisions prior to going out and drinking that night.
Interesting. According to the article in the Royal Gazette, you recently ruled out no warning roadside breath tests. Explain why you're confident that this is the right move. I know you mentioned a little bit, but what makes you confident that this is what we need to do?
So the reason that the ministry is at this point ruling out no notification is going back to what I was mentioning earlier, conscious decision making. If you look at the roadside sobriety checkpoint statistics from this most recent holiday, nobody was caught or nobody was found operating a vehicle under the influence in any one of the roadside sobriety checkpoints over this past holiday. And we attribute that to having people making the conscious decision to make alternate plans for getting home, having a designated driver, taking a taxi, and the like. And so therefore, it is, once again, Operation Caution is a phased approach. Once we start seeing the data showing a consistency in 0 people or a few people, limited number of individuals being found operating under the influence during a sobriety checkpoint, the ministry may revisit that, because then we want it to become part of the culture, making these decisions. and not just making the decisions because you know that there's a consequence, but because it's the right thing to do.
Awesome. And what more can the government do to support the community and the police in making our roads safer?
So that is it's an easy, but it's a hard question to answer. The
Yeah.
easy question is that under road operation caution, there is a phase two which talks about being preventative, and I don't want to say preventative maintenance, but being proactive. I'll put it that way. And being proactive is going back to the way that we train our individuals or train our youth in getting onto the road. And we believe that it's setting the culture. How we train is how we set the culture. So part of that is that we are looking to implement changes for on-road testing and on-road training for those persons in Project Ride and getting the motorcycle license. Because what happens is that the first time that we end up riding on the road, at least when I did my test, in 1903, when I did my test, what happened is that I just went, I did the written course, I did the written exam, I rode up and down through some currents, took a picture, and that was it. The first time I actually rode the bike on the road with other people was after getting my license. And so therefore, how do I know what the culture of the road is? How do I know about, and how do I get used to that? How do I get used to operating a vehicle on the other with other people? But mainly, I go out, and then next thing I know, I'm invincible. I'm making nips. And I had a life before politics, and so going around at night. Oh, there are no headlights. I can take this corner on the opposite side of the road. And these are the changes that we need to make now, and we need to instill the culture that as early as possible. Getting into our schools, once again, really making it as interactive as possible, and making it, I feel old saying this, cool to follow the rules.
It's all right, Minister. You're not old at all. There's only one seasoned person on this show, and his name is Jamal.
Not
But
as
listen, well, I'm about to, share my seasonness. When, back in the day, you had pack racing. A lot of, we used to pack race all the time and all of this kind of things. That culture is no longer what it was back then. And we was able to transition from pack racing into something else. How did that transition happen? But we're still seeing some of the same results. And what can the community do to not operate their vehicles so recklessly on our roads now?
Pack racing has not gone away. Pack racing has
Okay.
actually become more organized, and pack racing is now, you may not see the same numbers altogether, but I'll put it this way. I'm pretty sure that we've all seen on social media guys that are drag popping and seeing how long they can drag pop up and down North Shore, up and down South Shore. Um,
Ah,
and what happens is that you've got McGall's, that is a place for people that are racing. It hasn't gone away. It's got more organized. And so the thing is that what we do is once again, it's this culture of showing either one, we have to create an outlet for them, which the government has done down at Southside. But
mhm.
two, it is once again getting into the schools and showing them, hey, this is not the culture that we want you to follow. This is not necessarily the rite of passage that you need. And so I think that you got away from the unorganized pack racing when you introduced Southside Raceway, but also now it's the more individualized, the groups of two or three that are going through nipping in and out of traffic and racing each other and the like.
All right. I got some questions from the audience for you, Minister. And if you have any questions, please feel free to shoot. We'll ask as many as possible. Traveling Trotty's asking, when was the last time the written and practical exam for obtaining a driving or riding license was updated/revised? If not within the last 10 years, when will it change?
So I spoke to that, well, not the written exam, but the rules of the road from the written aspect have not changed much, if at all. However, what it is that it's the on road, it's the tangible, it's the practical aspect that we believe we need to change. Bikes have gotten faster. I mean, back in my dad's day, he used to have to pedal to start his bike first and then go from there. we went to we went to carbureted and fuel injected and all of that, and now we got the 4-strokes. So it's the practical side that we're focused on, and upgrading and updating that to match today's society. So once again, going back, the possibility of going back on the road, having an on-road aspect of the training and an on-road aspect of testing, which means that we might be looking at reducing the age in which persons can get a learner's permit.
All right. You mentioned 4-strokes. I know people have said that when government allowed more powerful bikes, they believe that's when we start seeing accidents. I don't know if there's data to show that, but I think people often say things like that. But I want to go to Mark Arthur C. Phillips. He says, "Good morning, Minister. Do you believe that the taxi legislation that is already on the books should be enforced? Many times after a night out on the town, there are no taxis available." And I think he's speaking in reference to people obviously driving under the influence.
So right now we are in communication and in basically having conversations with the public service vehicle industry about how we can modernize that industry as a whole. A lot of times we tend to piecemeal things because we're just focusing on this one issue and that one issue, but we're looking at actually modernizing the whole public service vehicle industry, and this is going to be part of the discussion.
All right. I know this is another ministry, but this was, I remember it was a road fatality late last year, and this came up in a private chat that I was in. Traveling Trotty's asking, what impact does the condition of our roads have on accidents?
So when you look at it statistically, the number of accidents that have been, through investigations, have been determined to be due to road conditions is in the minority. The majority of it is the speed and alcohol. But I believe that was the same individual that asked about the testing, and I just wanted to add one more aspect to that. What we are doing here in the ministry is changing the culture of being taught how to pass the test versus how to operate the vehicle.
Got you.
And so a lot of people are being taught, do this, do that, say this, say that. Number 3 is A, number 5 is B, and number 7 is true. Versus this is what you need to do, and this is the skill that you need to hone to be able to properly operate this vehicle. And so you're going to start seeing changes along those lines.
Yeah, I like that approach myself. Michael Daniel says, nobody seems to speak about the people who need to be daredevils on the road. Shika Reyna, she says, new riders should first have a conditional license, then earn road hours during over 60 days, accompanied by a seasoned driver, not a passenger, prior to getting their official license. Shika, how would this work? I mean, I'll let the minister answer if he has anything to say to that, but for bike riders, for instance, young bike riders, are you saying that they should have a passenger on back? I mean, believe it or not, I was a very small individual when I first got my bike. I was short and didn't weigh much, so I really couldn't tow anybody. I didn't have the strength back then. But, anything to that, Minister?
Yeah, I actually have a lot. So now I'm taking sort of out of the, for those that know me, know that I got my pilot license before I had my bike license. And so what we're looking at doing here is actually taking those some of those traits and trends from getting your pilot license and having a certain number of hours of on-the-road experience prior to getting your license. So once again, remember the statistics don't show that the majority of road traffic fatalities come from the youth. The majority of road traffic fatalities come from those who have had their license for 20 or 30 years. And so what we're doing is that having a conditional license for the youth does not necessarily address the road fatalities, but changing the culture, making sure that they are trained to operate the vehicle and not just trained to pass the test or taught just to pass the test. That is where we believe that changing culture will come from. Once again, the first time if you were to get your license today, the first time you ride on the road is after you've gotten your license. So the first time that somebody passes you is after you've gotten your license. The first time you're riding in the rain is after you've gotten your license. And that is not the time to be learning. You should have already learned and know how to operate in pretty much every condition.
Yeah, I will say, and she did, Chikorina did add to our comment, not a passenger, someone driving with them / behind them as a witness. Yeah, I think my daddy used to stalk my little sister like that. At least that's what he said when I was in Bermuda. But I will say, honestly, I just, my wife used to call me grandpa because of the way I drove. And it's, for me, it's always about just being considerate. If it's one
Yeah.
place I'm very considerate, it's the road, right? And while I was in Bermuda, I'm just going to be frank, the roads are in horrible conditions. But because I know the roads are in horrible conditions and I'm riding a bike, I'm going to be that more cautious, that more
Mm-hmm.
considerate. So if anything, I don't think the roads are an excuse for more accidents. I think the roads should actually make us be more cautious and considerate.
Yeah.
Yeah, Minister.
Yeah, no. So I agree with you on that. One thing that I've noticed is that as I have become, I'm not going to say older, more mature. As I've become more mature, I have slowed down in many aspects. I still try to play football, but I'm with Masters League versus Corona. And so I think that that should transition over to the way we operate vehicles. Leave. I know this sounds very cliche, but leave earlier. You know that it takes you half an hour in rush hour traffic.
Mhm.
Then leave with half an hour before the time you need to get there. Possibly leave 45 minutes. It's about slowing down. But
Mhm.
it's and that but slowing down goes against, and this might seem like apples and oranges, but going slower goes against the society that we're in now with immediate gratification.
Mm.
And so right now, everything we do is immediate gratification. If we want money, we go to the ATM and get it right away, regardless of whether the bank's open or not. If we want gas, we go to the gas station and we know that we can swipe our card and get gas right then. So once again, we're actually programmed to get things faster. We want our internet speed as fast as possible so that we can stream multiple things and watch Arsenal get into the Champions League again.
Oh my.
Um,
Senna.
Oh my. You just had to throw that in. Let's go. We got a couple more questions. I want to get some questions in for you. Sam Cat Place is asking. She said, "I rode behind a young girl who was a new rider. Her parents were in front. I had to toot them down to stop as the little girl almost got in an accident in front of me." She continues saying, "I had to explain to her and her mom what she did and what not to do. I don't think Project Ride is really doing it. Why not have them on the road to do this within Project Ride?" And I want to go on to another comment before you answer that. Amanda Blakeney says the course with systemized training sets the standard. And we did have systemized training, Darren Glassford,
Mhm.
on late last year. But I think, I don't know if you're familiar with it, but I think they have it right. They have it right in terms of what you spoke of. Like, it's not about just getting a license, passing the test. It's about behaviors, educating them to be on the roads. And I want to go
Right.
to this comment that Michelle Whitehead, she says, "Our culture of traveling on the road is learned very young. Watching adults and how they drive, listening to adults saying it's cool when somebody's wheeling down the main road. Road use not all right." But I want to say this: even our reaction to bad driving, we need to watch out for that. Just because someone's driving bad around us doesn't mean we need to respond in that manner. And that's something I've learned.
Yeah.
I mean, someone will cut me off and I'll get right back in back of them and show them a finger or something, sign language, little way new. And that's not the way to do things, right?
No.
The way to do things is, you know what? There are policies. Take the license plate number. I'm going to tell you what my solution is. And you can tell me whether this is law or not. I don't believe necessarily, Sherry and I disagree on whether or not the public should know where the police are. I agree with you, Minister. I don't believe that it should be to criminalize. I think it should be about changing behaviors. And I think allowing the public to know should make them make better decisions. But I have a dash cam now. And my dash cam, I believe if more people had dash cam, now again, is it law in Bermuda? But people can have them. But I think that helps because if I remember correctly, when the murder happened late last year at a local restaurant, the police were asking for ring camera people if they had ring cameras or dash cams.
Mm-hmm.
Dash cams, if people submitted footage, it actually takes the pressure off and says, you know what? We've been submitted this. You can now send it to the person, the owner of the vehicle, and say, hey, This is what your vehicle was doing. There's going to be some accountability. They may say, well, I wasn't driving it. It's registered to you. This is what's going to happen. My solution that I'm providing to you, whether it's legal or not, is better use of dash cam, encouraging people to work with the powers that be. And to me, that would be a service to our community. Sometimes people don't even realize how they're driving until they can see themselves.
Yeah.
And so, long story short, what ends up happening is that when it comes to I'm going to go back to the beginning, to Project Ride. When it comes to Project Ride, legally, the instructors are not allowed to take students on the road.
Got it.
And that is something that we're actively looking at. We've made it public once again, as part of Operation Caution. And we're seriously looking at that because, once again, as I said, we see all the benefits of allowing individuals to be trained on the road prior to getting that. And so there is a legislative barrier right now to being able to allow persons to train on the road. But if you see bad behavior, now that is not what a lot of people do, is that they see bad behavior. They see Lawrence Scott driving badly. They call TCD.
Oh, no. They don't call TCD. They go on social media.
There is an aspect of TCD to report bad driving.
No, but what I was saying is they don't necessarily go that process no more. As Sharon said earlier, they run to social media, right? They go on Magic and all that stuff. But to your point, you need to emphasize that right there. Like, that's what we should be doing.
Yes. And so I'll take this opportunity that if you see bad driving, call the senior traffic officer at 292-1271. And so that's the senior traffic officer here at TCD. And if you have the recording, then you call them. They'll give you their email address, and you can send it in, and we can go and TCD can follow up from there. But once again, I do agree that there is a lot of things that I see on social media before my technical officers are made aware of it, or before we can be briefed on it as ministers to look at how we make policy changes. So once again, instead of trying to be first, let's try to be right. Let's just report it. Let's report it now. If you report it to the minister and 3 months later you still see the same thing happening, now you go to social media and said, hey, I went to my MP, I went to the minister, I went to the law enforcement officers 3 months ago, and the same thing's still happening. Why is that?
Yeah.
Minister Lawrence Scott, thank you so much. This was a helpful conversation, first conversation of the year. And I really do hope that Bermudians really take heed to this discussion. There's no reason we should be having the amount of accidents that we have on the roads. Again, we can't make excuses and say the roads are in poor conditions. I noticed that. I agree with that. But then I was extra cautious. That's me taking accountability for what I can control. I can't control the roads, but I can control how I operate on them. Thank you, Minister. And we hope to have you back on, not to speak about this, but to speak about the improvements on our roads due to more people being responsible. Have a wonderful day.
Thank you. Thank you for having me.
No problem. All right, Minister Lawrence Scott, folks, if you appreciated that conversation, you know what to give. Do give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. We're going to take a quick break. Don't forget, if you missed out on today, the giveaway, it was the first day. I think they missed the letter, Sherry. We'll be right back. We've got the Daily Play coming up, and we'll wrap it up.
A lot happens around your home. That is why at One Communications, we have introduced affordable security and video monitoring, because everyone should be able to afford to protect their family. Anytime, from anywhere, One Home Security keeps you connected and puts security in your hands with an easy-to-use smartphone app to control everything. Home security is important to keep you and your family safe. Motion-activated cameras around your home and security monitoring within create a complete security system providing protection both inside and outside your home. Professional monitoring means that there's someone on call with 24/7 protection to notify the authorities and help keep you and your loved ones safe. We are dedicated to whole home protection with indoor and outdoor cameras, smart door locks, motion sensors, and more, so you'll always be connected to what matters most. with professional installation, no upfront hardware fees, and low monthly rates, because keeping your family safe should be affordable for everyone. Total home video monitoring and security, there's no better way to protect your home than with One Home Security.
All right, welcome back. Thanks again to Minister of Transport Lawrence Scott. Again, if you appreciated that conversation, give us a thumbs up, a love, a like. Thanks again to One Communications, Medical House Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring we're able to do this with you on a regular basis. Folks, don't forget, if you haven't already, make sure you subscribe on our website to be eligible to win the first $500 cash prize this year. We have a lot of partners who are going to be rewarding you for engaging with us, so you don't want to miss out on being eligible to win any of the prizes. If you don't already, make sure you follow us on Instagram. We just started our LinkedIn page. Make sure you follow us over there. We'll be sharing a lot of content this year. But now it's time for the Daily Play, brought to you by Heineken 0.0. Great taste, no alcohol. Sherry, are you ready?
Let's just see if we can start the new year off right. Okay,
all right,
let's go.
Help her out, folks. Here we go. It's a remember when. What year did Bermuda's seatbelt law come into effect?
Oh my gosh. 1992. Am I close? No. 93. 89. 90. 2004, really?
January 2004 is the answer.
Really? Okay. Well, remember, I was doing seatbelts in 89 in the States, so I was used to it. But,
these regulations came into force on the 1st of January 2004, known as the Motor Car Seatbelt Regulation 2003 Act. So I remember because I was in college, and I remember people going back and forth. And here's the thing with Bermudians. This was the first time I realized that as a culture, we love to make a lot of noise. Because people were so against it. It was that and the dog bans, like banning dangerous dogs. But I remember this. People were against it, and now look at us. It's just a regular. And this is why governments do what they do, because they know they'll complain for a bit, but they'll get over it and they'll comply.
Yeah, but it's safety at the end of the day too, and some people still don't do it. One of my pet peeves is seeing children in the front and you're strapped in and the child's not. But anyway, that's a whole nother story.
Yeah, that's debatable. People had all different answers. Sherry, you any final thoughts on today's show?
Yeah, I think throughout both of the segments, accountability was the highlight of both conversations. Just taking accountability for yourself as a island, as a community, and taking accountability for your personal self in regards to making the right choices when you decide to get behind a motor vehicle, whether it's, and I know we talked about alcohol, but whether you're tired, and can't, operate a vehicle just because you're tired as well. So,
Go ahead.
Yeah. So just making sure that you're accountable.
Alrighty. Just want to say before we head out and Sherry gives you that the daily inspiration. We did have a question from Michelle White. The letters of the day is for the week. No, as explained, we will be given a different letter every day. We have a live episode, right? Those letters, they will be given until the end, until someone pretty much guesses or people guess what the word or phrase will be. We'll pretty much do it up until the final word. It's not a week. It's hopefully done this entire month. But just pay attention, tune in, listen for the letters, send us what you believe it is. All right? So you'll have to go back to see what the first letter was today. As far as today's show, just giving some feedback on today, I agree with Sherry. Accountability was the name of the 2022 accountability, folks. And so I encourage people to hold even their parents, their friends, their siblings, everyone accountable. And that goes for everything that we do in life. Remember, therapy is not an excuse to remain who you are. It's an opportunity to become a better you. Share a daily inspiration for us.
It is. Education is the most powerful weapon which you can use to change the world. Nelson Mandela.
All right.
Yes.
There we go. Thanks again to our partners, Medical House, One Communications, Lindos, and People's Pharmacy for ensuring that we're able to do this with you on a daily basis. As always, we appreciate you, we love you, and we thank you for making us part of your daily routine. If all goes well, we'll be back to do this again with you tomorrow. She's Sherry Vanderpool. I'm Jamel Hartman. My friends, please do make it a great day. Safe travel, Sherry.
Thank you.